All right. Welcome on in, folks, to the Beer for the Right Reasons podcast. We got Adam's video jumping around just a little bit there. Hopefully we can get that settled. But welcome on in to episode 7 of Michelle's season. How we doing, Adam?
Okay, I just got myself off mute. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. What's going on, buddy?
Just technical, making it work. I'm doing pretty good though. How are you?
I'm good. And for those that don't know, Adam's our reporter on the road. Okay, he's there hunting down all things Bachelor Nation, right? And
that's what we'll say.
Yep, indeed. So yeah, hometowns this week. Super exciting. Do we have any? I don't think we have any Bachelor Nation news or anything like that.
No, I did a quick glance and I didn't see anything really worth talking about. So
yeah,
no,
fair
enough.
enough.
I got nothing.
All right, well, we'll jump right in then.
Absolutely.
Intro starts out right, Minnesota wide pictures, that kind of stuff, and Tayshia and Michelle get to talking as they're strolling along, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It was a pretty straightforward chat. It was just like, oh yeah, it's a big week. Are you ready for everything?
Yep.
And yeah, that was about it.
Yeah, very simple. She
just intro kind of it all, right? Like, all right, this is hometowns. Hometowns is important. You're gonna meet the families. This is your chance to vet in-laws, so you don't want to kill any of them.
Absolutely,
that kind of deal.
And then they talk to the boys a little bit. Caitlin comes in and she says that they've brought their families in, which is an interesting one. I know that they're still being a little smart with the quarantine stuff.
Yeah, that did bum me out, but it kind of makes sense, I guess. But it's not really a hometown at that point, right? You know what I mean?
Right. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Your video's jumping just a little bit for us. That's okay though.
I'm making do with a laptop webcam and whatever tech I could fit in my suitcase. So
fair enough. I think you may have. Oh, there you go. But yeah, we'll jump right into Brandon. Right, our first one-on-one.
Brandon gets to lead off, and I'll ask you this here off the top. Is this the best Final Four of guys that the show has had?
I would think so, honestly. Like, I can't remember liking 4 guys so much. I'm a little whatever about Joe, if I'm honest with you, but the rest of them, I love them. They're great.
You might be whatever about him, but at least he doesn't suck.
No, he doesn't suck. No, right? none of them suck, which is nice, but
and usually there's like one guy that kind of sucks.
I agree.
Right?
Yep, somebody that you hate at very least, right?
Yeah, some guy that you're really just not happy about seeing, and you're like, geez, I wish I didn't have to look at this guy.
Yeah.
So,
no, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But, yeah.
But, yeah. So, Brandon leads off. He gets the first date, and he has to recreate Portland in Minnesota.
Good luck, buddy. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, you can try, but the two places just aren't the same. Yeah. So, he mentions to Michelle that he will be meeting his mom, dad, and brother.
Mm-hmm.
So she does get a nice little intro to the family there. And he also mentions that, in his own little one-on-one, he's like, Michelle, Michelle says that she can see herself falling in love with Brandon. And that's like before everything too. That's early on. Like when they're heading out for the date.
Right.
So that's pretty big to get that kind of a commitment out to somebody already.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Brandon has come so far, man. I never thought I'd see him, first of all, get to hometowns when this whole thing started, all of that, but man,
yeah,
good for him.
Well, he pulled up in the bed gimmick, and I forgot about that until this episode.
Yeah.
But he tried the cheesy one-liner where he's like, I just wanted you to know what it would be like to wake up with me every morning.
Oh, God.
Like,
yes.
Bud, It's amazing you've made it this far.
I think that, you know,
Like,
maybe he plays the like irony, Portland nerdy girls like this kind of shit. And Michelle is like as
he
far
must
opposite
be.
from that as possible, right?
Yeah, yeah, like he must be. That's gotta be it, right? Like I don't see any other explanation. But
Yeah.
she digs it. She's into it every single time. So anyway, what kind of date does he plan for her? They're gonna go skateboarding, which is
Indeed they are. Let me pull
pretty
up the
okay.
we have a picture of this. We have actual confirmation. They do go skateboarding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, uh, I wonder how much time they had to plan these one-on-one dates, right? Because they're they're all pretty simple. You know, like in the history of the show, usually the hometown date where you take them on the fancy one-on-one, it's like, this is everything in my hometown. And these ones, it's like, here's one thing, and then, you know, uh, here's my parents at a
Yep.
hotel room, you
Yep,
know?
pretty much.
So
I
I
like
kind of
switch
wonder how much
faced.
time he had.
I like switch faced comment. NFL ref goes skateboarding. Yes, the shirt was pretty epic. Brandon's shirt, pretty good.
Yeah. Again, it's just there's just stuff about Brandon that's kind of weird and boyish,
Yep.
but somehow he makes it work, you know? I
Yep.
don't even know if weird, but just so boyish and young. He always comes across so young, even though they're the same age. Like you could probably, if someone said he was 21 years old, I'd be like, oh yeah, yeah, he's
It's
definitely
it's
21.
a little bit of a Pacific Northwest thing too. Very like
Yeah,
everybody acts or tries to act and look like they're 10 years younger than they are, kind of vibes. Yeah, no, I definitely get
fair
that.
enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
So, so yeah, they're going skateboarding, and I was excited when he said this because I was like, oh, is he gonna pull out like some Tony Hawk or something? You know, like
Yeah.
I was like, oh, maybe he's really good. And then he gets on the skateboard
Oof.
and he doesn't look like a guy that knows how to skateboard. Michelle hops on it and scoots around and looks about as good as him on the skateboard.
I
It
you
was
know did you grow up skating at all?
when Tony Hawk got really big when I was about 11 to 13, 10 to 13, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that 1999, 2000-ish to, 2003-ish, 2004. And I loved skateboarding back then. I was never any good at it, but I just loved doing it.
Yeah, I definitely got into it. There was even in Montana, they even had an indoor half pipe that I would go and skate at and all that. But like,
Oh yeah.
I could skate okay then, but if somebody asked me to hop on a skateboard now, I would look worse than he did. So I have to say it's kind of unfortunate what they chose for him, honestly. But like,
Well,
I
yeah.
think that's anybody that hasn't skated for like more than a year or two, even if they were like
Well,
really good before.
something I'm thinking about for this is he didn't have his own skateboard,
That
right?
also, yeah.
He had a board the show put together, and I'm wouldn't be surprised if the show went to like Walmart and bought those cheap boards that are heavy with the cheap bearings, the bad wheels, and the trucks that are like made out of concrete, basically.
Could be.
Because I started thinking about this, and it's like he sort of looks like he knows what to do with his feet. You know, like you can tell when he stands on a board, he knows where to put his feet to hold his weight. But the problem is he looks uncomfortable, and I was like, well, if they stuck me on this show and I was like, oh, I'm Adam, I'm from Canada, let's do ice skating. And then they gave me a pair of cheapo skates that don't even fit me
Oh yeah,
properly
yeah. It'd be
compared to
brutal.
my molded skates, the ones that I'm used to that I've spent years on. I'd probably look bad. And people are like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing.
He's never been
So
on the ice in his life.
yeah, so I almost started thinking about that. I was like, oh, that might be what's going on here.
Totally, and
So
and also a park you've never ridden is also a
a
thing. Like,
park you've never ridden.
all those
There's a
things.
whole host of them, or even snowboarding. Not even to make it something maybe a little more similar. Even snowboarding. Put me on a snowboard that's a bit too long or a bit too short. Binding's not quite where I like them, and it's gonna take me it could take me an hour before I really start to feel my edges properly.
Totally. But I feel like there's this theme with Michelle's sports dates where they make the dudes look terrible and they make her look really, really good. You know?
Yeah. Every single one, even Joe, who's like us, we saw in the basketball group date, was a killer in their one-on-one date. It's like, here's Michelle draining deep threes like Steph. Now, here's Joe just like bricking out every single shot. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Yep.
No,
yep.
that makes sense to me that they would pull that. So then, like, I just have written down here, like, it looks kind of cute. They're kind of doing the stuff where, like, they hold hands on the skateboard, and, you know, it's kind of cute. And Brandon's, like, so cheesy. Everything he says is so cheesy.
Yep.
But, like, she just doesn't care because she likes him so much.
Well, you can tell that he's one of those guys that, like, you get past the cheesy, you're like, oh, man, I have a life partner now.
Yeah, you know? And you can tell, like, they must have had some, like, really deep conversations that we haven't seen on camera. And I fully bet that, you know, maybe when they're riding around in a limo and they were probably like, oh, this is way too boring. We're not watching.
Yeah. They're just chilling
on camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because to see their relationship on screen and compare it to how they're acting, it makes no sense. You think it's like, you know, spring break mode or like first date every date kind of.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, I have it written out. He could do nothing and she'd still giggle at him.
Oh yeah, she you can clearly tell that she's into him, you know what I mean? They're the cutest. I feel like they're the ones that kind of mold together the easiest of all of the guys.
Yeah, they have an energy that works really well together.
Super low key, super easy. Yeah.
Then from there, we kind of move on. We don't really get to see anything else. Again, it's like one activity, meet the parents. One activity, meet the parents.
Simple.
So, yeah. And so we get a little preview thing where his parents are sitting down like, oh, I wonder what this woman's going to be like. Oh, she's dating 3 other guys, you know, and we get that same conversation 4 times tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And then Brandon's brother is just sitting there looking like Martin wants to look. And
holy
crap,
so fly.
I don't know if you you mentioned that you didn't watch the episode till today, so you weren't around for like the Twitterverse yesterday because I was live tweeting the episode.
I know you were. Yes.
Oh my God! Every woman online was like, "Fuck Clayton, we want Brandon's brother for Bachelor," and like just thirsting all over. It was wild.
The damn Navy stole it away from us, you know.
Yeah, like it's like, you know, like Twitter goes, oh, you've got 12 unread tweets, and then goes 24, 26. I like hit it, and it's just, oh my God, this guy for Bachelor, I want, you know.
Oh man, like, the glasses, and like I literally told Morgan after the episode, I was like, I need to get a gold chain. Like that chain, like maybe not as big and as prominent as his, but I'm like, I need some bling.
Yeah, and then he had like but then like the glasses were like, they were like plastic see-through, like the
clear
were, and I don't know. The dude had drip. He looked great.
Let's just say Brandon's parents made some good-looking children. You know what I mean?
They did. It's like the Hemsworth parents that pumped out like 3 or 4 just like model,
just gorgeous
sons.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. What's up, Phoenix? How are you?
Hey, what's up? I also have it written down here that both Brandon and his brother Noah look like you took his parents and just adjusted the filters in like the face melting app.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can see his mom and his dad, and you just glue them together and mash them around a little bit, and it's like, yep, that's both boys. Like somehow they're just like the perfect, you know, mix of each of them.
Yep, that's you know, you see a lot of that with these Bachelor parents, and you're like, man, you're lucky that you got the best of both, man. Like even like we'll talk a little bit later about Nate, but I'm like, man, Nate got some good looks from somewhere.
Yeah. And And it's funny because they sit down and they all walk in and they're talking, and like Brandon's brother straight up calls him out for being a cheesy guy. And I
Oh
was like,
yeah.
ooh, he keeps scoring here. Noah's gonna end up on this show. He's gonna do his tour in the Navy. He's gonna show up on The Bachelor in 3 years or
Oh,
something
I'd
like that.
love it. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Love it.
I fully bet it. And then in 10 years, we're gonna get Mia from episode 1. She's gonna be the Bachelorette.
I hope so.
Like,
I hope so.
they casted this season and then got like 10 years of casting out of it. So
I love it. It's they've done a great job for sure.
yeah. So they just have some like really cute little chats. Like, his mom just says, talks about, what he feels he's missing, and he says, I'm missing Michelle, like that's the kind of woman that he wants. It's exactly that. And it sounds so cheesy because he says it in like such a tone where it's just like, Michelle, I want her. Like, I'm missing Michelle in my life. And it's like, how do I believe this guy every time he's talking like this? It's like Rick, but if you weren't creeped out by him,
Yeah, and I think Brandon has a little bit of innocence that Rick's creepy eyes don't allow for.
No,
but like
very intense eyes.
I really liked what Brandon said to his mom, something about Michelle being the strongest woman he'd ever met. And I was like, that's pretty true, man. Like, she's one of the strongest ladies that we've seen, even as a lead, like amongst some pretty strong female leads. So,
especially to say that to your mom, when most guys are like, my mom's the strongest woman I've ever met. My mom's amazing. And then to go, yeah, this woman, she's stronger, is like
bold,
high praise.
Bold move, Cotton. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
See if it pays off.
Yep.
And then she sits down with Noah and they have a pretty straightforward conversation where he's just like, he's my brother and I just want what's best for him. And she's like, I think your brother's really awesome. I'm like, that's great. Like, pretty straightforward. I think she was giving him a bit of the eyes. Like, I thought she was like checking him out just a little bit.
She's like, so you're 20%. Well, okay, we'll call it 15% more handsome than Brandon. This is a problem for me.
Yeah. But then she sits down with Brandon's dad, and they have an adorable conversation where they're not even talking about Brandon, I don't think. They're just like, she's like, do you like fishing? Because my parents love fishing. And his dad's like, I love fishing. I can't wait to go fishing with your dad, Michelle. And I'm like, damn, you guys are planning like
it's too good to be true, man.
Yeah. They're just going for it hard.
I love it. I love it.
And it's just an adorable conversation. Like, there's not too much to delve into because it's a lot of, I have strong feelings and I think you're great. And
very generic platitudes. Yeah.
But it's also nice just to be like, people that just like each other.
Oh yeah, like families that get along, clearly care about each other, and then also are warm to a new person. It's like that's a lot. That's a lot of good there.
No, and it's just like it's almost like charming in how simple and innocent it is. And honestly, most of the episode was that way.
Yeah, honestly.
There's not tons of talking, but it was almost just like nice watching like 4 guys that have good relationships with their parents, and their parents have good relationships with them, and there's no Aunt Lindsay from Katie.
Oh, dear Christ.
Aunt Lindsay. There's no Barb, like Peter's mom.
Let me just say this. As a person from Seattle, Washington, it's just so nice not to see a person from Renton, Washington on here. Because, like, no disrespect to all the Rentonites out there, but Aunt Lindsay is the worst, okay? And I don't need any more of that negativity in my life, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, that's funny. And then, so anyway, they have a great chat. They all hug and high five and everything at the end. And
friggin' Snohomish.
As they're going out. Sorry,
Phoenix said something funny about the Seattle area too. So good job, Phoenix.
Yeah, the chat's cut off on my preview window here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's my fault again. Traveling pains, but making it work. So
all good.
But they head outside, and Michelle tells Brandon that because she mentioned that she could see herself falling in love at the start of the episode with him, but now she tells it to him, which that's big. just to say it out loud and say it to that person. Like I just have the like
Yeah.
emoji written down.
You can tell he's just so dang happy about it too. Like they have the
Yeah,
little
and
cutaway interview, and I was just
Yeah.
like, oh my God, he's stoked.
Yeah, I have it written down here like he's the most in love I've ever seen of a guy on this show. Because usually the guys are a little bit more stoic or
Yeah.
reserved, but like you can just tell that when she said that, like he melted, and you can tell that he's already in love with her. He hasn't said it, but you can just tell.
It's
right?
easy to tell. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, his family's really supportive, and they all liked him, and or liked her. Sorry. So, and he already got to meet the other set of parents too. So he's,
These two are a little like I always think of the logistics on this show more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like where people live, do their parents get along, do their parents like the other person, like things that like aren't the sexiest thing in the franchise about like why someone should choose someone else. But these are reality kind of things that are like, okay, this might actually work if this is a real relationship. And I got a lot of those vibes from Brandon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like there's just a compatibility that's there where
Oh yeah.
like, they could almost have nothing but each other and be happy, which is so cheesy, but if Brandon could survive off like no oxygen, no food, no water, but just, being around Michelle, I'm sure he'd adapt and find a way.
He'd find a way, absolutely. And like as a person myself, I'm in that kind of relationship where like we spend all of our time together like nonstop, and it never feels like, oh my God, I need to get away, or oh my God, I need something else, that kind of stuff. And like that's what these two seem to have, at least when they are together. So
yeah, no, that's awesome, and it's just great to see.
Yep.
Again, it's just like this episode overall was just so nice.
Yeah, nothing.
Nice is the best word.
Nothing to we'll talk about Nate's one, which is like the most controversial, if you will. But yeah, you're right. Everything is kind of nice.
I wouldn't even call it controversial as much as I'd say dramatic. But
okay, so they set it up to be controversial on previous edits.
They make it look. Yeah, the editor earned his paycheck for that one.
Oh Jesus, sure. I have my notes on that editor, and I want to speak to him, or her.
Yeah. So then we move on to Rodney. We are Beer for the Right Reasons, a podcast, but really, us, we're a rodcast.
We're a total rodcast, bro. Like
absolute rodcast.
We have a bromance going with Rodney that cannot be rivaled.
Absolutely not.
I wrote down the first thing I wrote down and about Rodney's date is when they come, and I think Michelle did this with Brandon and I think Nate also, but Michelle hasn't been the kind to go run, jump, and wrap her legs around the guy like at the beginning of the date, and that's been like such a Bachelor franchise, like to the point where my partner is like, I hate that when they jump and wrap their legs around him and blah 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 blah, but like Michelle did it for the first time with Brandon, and I put to Rodney got the leg wrappy jump. So I was happy for our boy, for sure.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was Becca's season.
Oh, she did it to everybody.
She would do that every time she saw it. It was a sprint, jump, hug, leg wrap, and make out with I think top 5 dudes.
It's a little bit of a size thing because Michelle's a taller gal too. So like when she did it with Rodney, it was a little like, oh man, Rodney's like just her height. You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
He's maybe an inch or two taller. Yeah.
Yeah.
And same with Brandon. He's a little bit taller than her, but not much. Where usually these women are like 5'4",
right? And
all the guys are football players that are 6'5". So.
Exactly. Nate was the only one where the leg wrappy seemed to work okay. But so Rodney's date starts out. He tells her about this first kiss apple that they're all gonna go find. It's a real thing. It's in Minnesota, so he says, right? And I just wrote, he's just so dang lovable. He's just like, how do you like a first kiss apple? We know you're making that shit up, and I don't care.
No. And props to Rodney. He listened to that poem that Michelle wrote about, she never got dates to the apple orchard.
Fuck yeah, he did.
What does Rodney do? Takes her on a date to the apple orchard.
It's beautiful.
He was listening.
And the date itself was pretty they grab apples, they make out a little. She was throwing apples at him and he was trying to catch him in a bucket. But The cuter part was when she got blindfolded, and one of the other good quotes of the episode was, "Is it normal to be blindfolded this much early on in a relationship?"
I was thinking about that just before she said it.
Yep.
Because I was like, geez, like every time these two have one-on-one time, there's a blindfold involved, and they're putting something in each other's mouths.
Food,
like,
kisses, and blindfolds. I mean,
like they're getting to some bedroom stuff pretty early here, really.
You just got to get comfortable early. Learn the safe word, which is clearly apples.
Maybe they discovered a kink with each other that they didn't know they had. That these blindfolds.
She looked like she was enjoying that caramel on that apple. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, and she called it too. She was like, "Oh, that's butterscotch."
Or butterscotch, yeah.
And Rodney's just like, "Whoa!" And it's just
she's like, "Oh, I know my butterscotch."
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so he, I think they had a little cutaway to him during all of this, and he says something to the effect of like, he'd have absolutely no problem getting down on one knee. He's all in on all this, and it's just like, oh man, you beautiful man. But he tells her that that she's gonna meet his mom and his stepdad, who he calls moms and pops, of course. And he says everything he gets from his mom, right? And you can
tell him and his mom have a really close relationship, and I think I saw some people that were like, "Ooh, that's like a monster-in-law," and I was like,
I didn't get that vibe.
No, I just got a vibe that her and her son are very close. Like, I'm close with my mom. Like, I call her a friend too. Like, I just go and talk to her and all that, and I get the feeling they just have a healthy relationship in a similar way, and she's just protective of her son as most mothers would be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think. Oh, sorry.
I think when I was gonna say the one last thing about the date is like you can tell they both really like each other, and they have a really strong friendship base, which Michelle keeps going to, saying, I laugh with Rodney the same way that my mom and dad laugh together, and like that's a big thing for her. So.
I don't know if Ephraim says as many words in a month as Rodney does in a day. But
no, but he does.
Okay.
He does crack his mom up when we get those little segments with him. She just starts cracking up. It's like the guy doesn't say anything and then drops that one-liner out of nowhere, and
love it.
Yeah.
So good little segue. They ride bikes and hold hands. A little cutesy bit near the end of the date, but then it's parent time with Rodney's mom Carrie and his stepdad Tyree, and man. I wrote down his joy at seeing his mom and stepdad after a while was just like so genuine. Like
it came through the television.
He's too good for this world.
Yeah, no, it was just great. Again, just a guy just seeing happy people on TV when we're used to drama and people crying and getting into fights and arguments, and it's just like, no, here's like 4 dudes happy to see their parents.
And I think for the first time, to your point about these 4 guys being good guys, I actually feel like even though some could call this episode like boring, if you will, because everybody's happy and kind of gets along for the most part, right? I wasn't bored by it per se. Like no, I was like, don't get me wrong, we have a podcast about it, so we're a little bit invested, but I think just like future or like previous top 4s, I couldn't care less usually about 2 or 3 of them, and this time I'm like, I like them all.
When you asked me to do the podcast, my main worry was like, what happens when it gets to the episodes where I usually fast forward over the people I don't like. I was like, now I've got to watch these, and then it comes to the episodes where I would normally fast forward over people, and I'm like, no, I need to know everything about Rodney's like stepdad.
It's been really like we've gotten very lucky that this is our first season for sure. Because
it's been a great season, and like I said, it's just like we have 4 great dudes. Michelle kicks ass, and it's making for wholesome television in a world that could use a little more wholesomeness sometimes.
Absolutely. And of course, speaking of wholesome, Michelle talking about Rodney to his parents, right? She says that like, how could anyone see Rodney as an underdog? She says they both felt like overlooked in the past, right? Which I get the feeling that they definitely both have, right? Even though they're both ridiculously, overwhelmingly good looking. But there was a really nice moment, and then Michelle and Mom kind of get taken to the side, right? Like they go off and do their thing, and Mom asks Michelle like, what traits does Rodney have that sets him apart from the other guys, right? And shocker, it's his playfulness and laughter, right? Like no one makes her laugh
and
like
reasons
Rodney.
we love him.
Yeah, no one, like without Rodney, that like I won't say that the season wouldn't have been as like enjoyable. Like it would have still been an okay season, but he's brought it up like several notches just personally, right?
Yeah, and I think you could tell the way they started editing the episodes that they realized, shit, we got to put more Rodney in here.
Well, the rest
he's had 2 videos that feature him on their Instagram and Twitter where they're like, this is extra footage, but it focuses around Rodney, so here you go, world.
Gold.
And then they've had like, hasn't he had 2 or 3 of the episode closing like credit scene segments as well?
Yep.
You know? So yeah, he makes for great TV by just being Rodney.
Yep. And I think that, you know, we talked about this, the fact that most of these shows, like what we watch is for the silly moments, these fun moments. And the show doesn't give us as much of that as we wish it did. Like that's why BIP is so entertaining, is it's way more of that, right? But Rodney's brought a lot of those moments, so it's been great. But
yeah, that might be, maybe that's what it is. He makes it feel almost like he's doing Bachelor in Paradise, but on the main show.
He's just having fun,
having a good time.
But he's also like clearly, and like, you know, Dad and Rodney sit down, same kind of thing, and he asks Rodney about his feelings, and he says like something to the effect of like, when he knows it's real, it's real. So it's not just him being like silly and goofy with a cute chick. It's real for him, and that's how he is. You can tell in a relationship.
Yeah, and he has a really good line later in the episode where I can't remember if he said it to his parents or if he says it to the camera, but he says, "I just want to be her person." Oh. And it's like there's no, he's not playing the game or anything like that. He's just being honest.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful to see. Entertainment that is honest and wholesome. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So,
Mom and Rodney also have a little discussion here. She says that she's scared that he'll be brokenhearted, you know, after all this, which I know we're all scared for Rodney as well. But Rodney says, "Hey, Mom, it's worth the risk. Like no matter what, she's worth the risk." And he says he's falling in love with Michelle when he talks to her, which is super great. And Mom is like clearly, like, I think she tears up and she like puts her face in her hands, or hands over her face, and you're like, oh.
His parents are both a bit pragmatic, because they're both like, okay, but she's dating 3 other guys. This is a television show.
Yep.
It's been 3.5 weeks, but they're not saying it to poo-poo Rodney's feelings. They're saying it, we're just looking out for you. And he goes, I get that, and this is the person that I want to be with. And they're just like both very happy that, okay, this is the person, and you know, then we're very happy for you, son, and we support you.
Yep. So. Yep. The parents that support, even in the face of like I feel like if it was me as a parent on there, I'd be like, I support you. I think this is all fucking nuts, but I support you. You know what I mean? And they were a little bit of that vibe, so I had to respect it for sure.
Yeah. Yep. But like I said, you can tell his parents just and for a stepdad too. Now, I don't have a lot of, you know, experience with step parents and stuff, but
yeah,
it was really good to see a stepdad that treats Rodney as if he's a blood son, you know?
I feel like we got a little bit of that with a lot of the step parents in this episode.
Yeah.
A lot of like,
because Nate has a stepfather as well, and we'll get to Nate when we get there. But
very cool to see. Very cool to see. Like,
awesome to see just good families. Because usually, again, on this show, you'll get, you know, 2, you know, normal nuclear families, and everything's great, and here's our lovely backyard, and we barbecue, and we're American, and stuff. And then usually, like, the one family was like, this is a little bit different, and we're the weird family. Ooh, we're so weird. Yeah. And you get like the one where, whether they edit it that way or the family is a bit that way, there's more dysfunction, and they're not quite as cohesive as other families. So just to see like 4 families that are happy together. I was like, wow, I didn't know TV could still do this.
Yeah, like I don't know if you, I think it was it Rachel Lindsay's season that Dean was on?
Dean,
Like
yeah,
that
I never watched that one,
oh,
but I've heard
like
about it.
one of the most brutal family hometowns, because his dad was like what felt like kind of a cult leader, and
Mm.
clearly like little sunshine happy rainbow cult dude in his mind, and Dean's just kind of normal, although we found out more that Dean's kind of wacky himself, but
But
like
he's hippie wacky,
he's a little
not.
hippie wacky, but like he brings Rachel in there, and it's just, oh, it's so, like they're like sitting on, like they don't have a couch, they're like sitting on the floor and like singing Kumbaya, but in a kind of weird negative way. Like it was really really bad
Yeah,
to where
where like
like
Dean just like seems to be a happy hippie, and I guess his dad was like the crazy cult hippie.
yeah, no, it was bad. So
That's
it's
the vibe
nice.
I'm getting from this.
It's really nice to see the good side of things, but yeah, that's really about it with Rodney. Michelle says it's very good to hear, like at the end of it, Michelle and Rodney sit down and he says he's falling in love with her. I love that Rodney's like, I have a big thing on this show for people who say I'm quote falling for you, or quote I'm falling in love with you. I feel like you shouldn't say anything at all unless you're saying I'm falling in love with you, because falling for you could mean literally anything, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a huge, like, it's like a semantics thing, but I love that Rodney didn't pull any punches. So
yeah, they always use such awkward language on this show sometimes, so to have someone just say it
was wonderful. Great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So yep, that was pretty much it with Rodney, and then we're on to Joe, right?
We are on to Joe. And picture update, and also one quick second.
And I totally didn't. I totally, for the folks at home, I totally forgot to put Rodney's picture up there for their date. So I do apologize about that. But I will put up Joe.
We're doing beer for the right reasons, and I forgot to grab my beer.
Oh, so. How dare you!
I know. Again, I'm blaming the hotel. Anything, if you don't like this episode, it's the hotel's fault. It's not us. We're great.
I agree.
So
I agree. Absolutely.
But yeah, so now we move on to Joe's date.
I don't know why it's not letting me drag this. Sorry, guys.
All good. I'll vamp for you. But yeah, we go on to Joe's date, and Joe takes her to his high school, Hopkins High in Minnesota, and asks her to prom. Second poem date we've had in this episode.
Ah, yes.
And yeah,
it's almost like
I guess before that.
Well, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, almost before that, I guess they walked through the hallways, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is where math class was. I didn't like that, and here's some trophies from basketball."
Can I say the one thing that I really loved for this first little bit? Her pants are this cool, like oversized leather, like almost like quarter-sized parachute pants thing that she was wearing. Fucking dope pair of pants. I had to get that in there.
I honestly didn't notice, but if they're cool, like, I feel like, again, put her in just about anything that would look weird on normal people.
It's unfair.
Make Michelle wear it.
It's unfair. Yeah. Anything with legs, you're like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Sorry, so, that was my cut in there. I had to get the pants.
Oh, good. But so Joe asked her to prom. He has this whole setup with snacks on the table and balloon arches and like I don't know, stuff to ask her to prom, which is, I guess in the States it's a big deal. Like you always will see those videos come about every year where like, you know, some guy asked this girl to prom in the most incredible way ever, or like an article, "You won't believe how this guy asked his crush to prom."
Oh, Jesus.
And, for me in Canada, I don't know if it's a cultural thing, Canadian American, but like prom or grad or whatever you want to call it up here.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, it's a thing, and you go and you rent a tux for $100 and get a fresh haircut, but it's not like this huge. In the States, it seems like it's such a big deal. We're up here, it's just like, ugh.
You know, I think a little bit of it is like movies and culture and how some of that's done that work to us. But in all honesty, like I feel like it's just people too. Like, I feel like for the prom queen type, the jock type, this sort of stuff is very, very important. But like, my group of friends in high school was like super diverse. Like we had a guy on the basketball team, we had a guy who was like, you know, we had every nerds, everybody, and like I literally wasn't even gonna go to prom until like somebody told me like, hey, there's this girl who's like a homeschooled girl. She wants to go to prom, and I was like, yeah, let's go. And it was super chill.
Oh, cool.
So like
Yeah.
that kind of thing where it's like, you know, I feel for most of us we're like what you're saying, which is just I want to go have a good time. Nothing like this isn't like not everybody had a high school sweetheart either. It's like a lot of us were just awkward fucking kids. So like Michelle and herself says like she's the last one picked, right?
And Michelle rocks.
She's awesome. You know? And we saw pictures of her in high school. She was a good looking girl then too.
She hasn't aged a day barely. Like she's a little bit more like womanly, but she's barely aged. And it's like, so you look like this in high school? Like how much of a glow up did you really need? You know?
She got that J-Lo supplement plan, man.
Just a little bit, yeah. But you know, and then she comes out in a grad dress that you can kind of see on screen. And I was curious, what was your ranking for this dress? If you got any notes on that?
I thought the dress was cute. I liked it. Was really good from the waist up. Really nice. The bottom was just kind of this like kind of poofy, like what do they call it? Is it tulle? The type of material. Pretty basic, but I thought it was cute. I would have called it like a maybe a 7 out of 10. Like nothing too bad, good, nothing too bad, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
I decided I'm going to be a little bit harsher on the dresses because I can't just say everything's a 6, you know, or I can't call everything an 8, or I can't call everything a 7. So, but this one's a 6 for me too, where it's like, she rocked it. She looks great in red, so I'm pretty sure anything red, she's going to kill.
If she had worn red lipstick with it, it would have been like a cut above.
Yeah. I like this red dress more than the one she wore at the last rose ceremony.
Fair enough.
I don't know what I gave that dress. I think I gave
similar.
It like 5 or 6 roses, and this one's a little bit better, but not too significant for me.
Totally.
But they do all sorts of cute stuff, I guess. Again, there's like a photo booth, and they do all the the quick posing, and they wear the silly hat. And,
I wanted to ask you about this. Did your prom or it's called grad up there? Yes.
We called it grad in my city, but in Canada, I mean, enormous country.
Of course.
Between different provinces and even different regions, there's different, words that we use.
But like
grad would be what I would refer to it as.
Did you guys have a photo booth like that? Because we certainly didn't. We had the like, you walk in, you get your picture taken one time, and then you're off and doing your shit.
Mine was you show up and you get all shuffled into lines and alphabetical and stuff, so they know what the hell to do with you.
Yep.
You toss on your gown, and then you walk across stage, take the picture, shake the hand of the principal, walk off stage.
Yes, sir, I will use protection tonight. Don't you worry. Shake the hand.
Adam, where are you going to school? A business. Like, I was just terrified.
Yes.
I read that. That was exactly what I said. He's like, oh, like, where are you going to college? Business. Like,
sure.
That's not where you go to college. But because I'd never been on a stage before. At least if I did, I don't remember it. And man, I couldn't see shit because those lights were so bright on me that the stage, and I couldn't see shit. I couldn't see my parents. I couldn't see friends.
Oh yeah,
it was crazy. And I do remember doing little finger guns when I walked out though. I was like, I'm gonna be so cool. And then like I think I did it, and then the lights hit me, and I had to blink, and probably looked really, really awkward.
I loved it. I love it. But I had to ask at the very least because like I didn't get these like cute props and other stuff like to take pictures. Like, come on, that's
wedding stuff.
Well, it's also like newer generation stuff, and I get that these folks are a little younger than you and myself, but like
not much though. But
not
I guess
much.
It doesn't take that much.
Yeah. But anyway.
Well, I guess if you think about it, like I graduated right before camera phones. Like right before camera phone. Like you had smartphones. So you had a camera phone, but it was like terrible, like 140 by 140 pictures.
Yeah, same here.
And then 2 years later, everybody in the world had an iPhone.
Oh yeah. No one took like phone pictures of my prom. Like, come on.
Yeah. No, I had a digital camera, and I had the thing that goes around your wrist so you don't lose it.
Don't you miss it?
Yeah.
I love it.
But then 2 years, like they're 27 or 28. So like I said, that 2 years, maybe that gets you to something where you're a little bit more modern, a little bit more techie.
Makes a big difference, man. Makes a big difference.
Yeah. And then, I bet you, geez, the ones nowadays, I bet the whole thing's filmed on TikTok and everyone's got their phone in every picture. And so,
yep.
But I'm not gonna kids these days, but I'm just kind of talking about how quickly things move. You like don't like to think you're that far removed or that old or whatever you want to call it, and then kind of are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I have it written down here that like Michelle with Joe is like living out her high school fantasy. Like,
yep.
This is she becomes a 16-year-old girl that wasn't popular, but the popular guy has asked her out, and it's not a dare. It's because it's the movie, the high school movie. Where
it is She's All
the
That.
Jock asks out the nerdy girl.
Yep.
Asks out the nerdy girl because he realized she's actually the hot one, and it's not the cheerleader and all that.
I mean, and like, please love me, Mr. Basketball. Mr. Basketball. Yeah. I need your love, and I've been needing it since I was 15. Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. Totally.
So there's definitely the high school fantasy to this.
Yep.
One thing too that I've noticed on all their dates is it's always kind of like basketball or back in the day stuff, and I'm like, they haven't talked too much about current life stuff. But Joe is a man of I think I tweeted it last night. I think I said like Joe's the kind of guy who's going to say who will only use 3 words to say something. Like he's never going to use 5 words when 3 will do,
Why say less words when few is good? I don't know what the Office quote is there, but yeah.
Why say more word when few word do trick?
There you go. Thank you. This is why he's a co-host here, people.
Yeah, so I think maybe that's, or maybe it's the same thing with Brandon, where like they've clearly had deeper conversations and we've just not been privy to it.
I hope so, because if this is just Michelle living out her high school fantasy, and then this guy's gonna live in silence the rest of their life, we'll talk a little bit about that. But anyway, yeah,
because now we get the family segment with Joe, where there's mom, there's dad. And then his brother and sister-in-law, like his brother's wife, his sister-in-law.
Yep.
And you know how I said, like, yeah, Joe word. I'm using fewer words already.
Yep.
Joe, doesn't use 5 words when 3 will do. His dad is the kind of guy who says 1 word. And so you can kind of see where Joe gets that, that quiet energy, that kind of silent energy. Because they're all talking, and his mom's a bit chatty, but his brother doesn't. I think he might say 2 words this entire segment. His dad basically goes, "Mm-hmm," and that's it.
I think I literally said something to the. I wrote a note that said, "I would be so bored with this family if they had not brought Hannah, who is the sister-in-law."
Yes, that's the name of.
Yeah, like she's the one that like. I feel like they had to bring her, otherwise the show is like, these people won't say anything. So anyway.
But so it's kind of fun, and then Hannah's the one who grabs Michelle and goes, "Michelle, let me grab you real quick," like they always do.
Yep.
And so they go off and have a chat, and it's like a lively conversation, and then it cuts to Joe sitting with his dad, and he's like, "Want to talk about anything?" He's like, "No, really."
Nope, I'm good, man. She seems nice.
Yeah, it was like, but you could almost tell, I think his dad might have been uncomfortable on camera. I almost wonder if he wasn't on camera, if he loosens up a bit more. And kind of like Joe, where the more time he's around Michelle, he starts kind of opening up and becoming a bit looser and looser. But at the same time, Joe even says, I've had to like kind of learn how to emote, because that just wasn't a thing I really got to see from men in my life. So
can we talk about this real briefly? Joe doesn't talk outside his teeth. Like every emotion he has, like when he talks, when he's smiling, when he was whatever, it's just like barely around the edges of his teeth. And I wrote it down, and I'm like, how did I not notice this until like once you see it, you're like, he doesn't like smile wide. He doesn't like open his mouth a bunch. It's all like small mouth. Look for it next time. This is something.
I'm gonna have to.
This is your homework for next episode.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture it, and it's not coming up for me, but
It's
uh,
interesting, but yeah, definitely comes from this place you're talking about, right?
mhm.
This very like
But
hold it in.
yeah, but at the same time, you don't get the feeling that there's any unhealthy relationship there. It's just
No,
a different kind of dynamic, right? And
yeah,
again, like just another really nice seeming family where, yeah, where everyone's quiet and well, reserved and all that. And I did find the one, maybe the funniest thing in the episode, or at least this segment, was
yeah,
Hannah saying to her husband, Joe's brother, I like her, and I hope they work out because it might be awkward seeing them at the grocery store otherwise. I was
yeah,
like,
yeah. She lives near us. This is gonna be
yeah,
weird. Yeah,
yeah. If it doesn't work out, we're gonna have to see this X all the time. Oh no.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
thought that was pretty good.
it's good that Joe's kind of one of the front runners then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, but that about ends it there. And then, I mean, they have a little conversation on their way out,
yeah,
and you can tell Joe's opening up a bit more, and I think Michelle appreciates it. But all the other guys have said, I'm falling in love with you, or I can see myself falling in love with you, or whatever phrasing you want to use. And Joe doesn't say that, and she doesn't say anything back to him. But you almost wonder if there's like an unstated that sentiment's coming through without being
see,
stated,
I
though.
thought that Joe said he was falling in love with her and that she's a
Did he?
special. Yeah. So he said
Oh,
he's falling in love with her and that she's a special person to him.
I have the special person written down. I didn't
Hmm.
have that part, but I didn't have pause available watching the episode, so I may have missed a few
How
things.
dare you have
So
to watch like it
apologies.
was the 90s and take notes? You know what? But
uh,
one last note
yeah,
for
having to
Joe.
watch TV live and not be able to pause and rewind it. What am I, a caveman?
Dedication, people. He sat through those American commercials. Okay.
Oh, we can talk. We'll talk about those in a
Yeah,
second here.
yeah.
Finish up Joe, and I'll tell you about the two commercials I want to talk about.
So the last thing I want to say about Joe is he goes, I could see myself living this life with Michelle here in Minnesota, like I wouldn't know anything else, and I would live with her on a nice house in Lake Minnetonka. And all I thought about was the Chappelle Show thing. Do you remember that?
One.
Where it's with Charlie Murphy and they're playing basketball, and Charlie's like talking to Prince, and he's like, I'm really
Oh yeah.
hot. I'm really sweaty. And he goes, why don't you purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka? That's all I thought the whole time I heard Lake Minnetonka. I was like,
Oh
it's Prince.
yeah. Oh, I haven't watched that skit for so long. I
I
do
know.
remember that though now. Yeah.
Yeah, as
Oh,
Switchface
good
says,
show.
game blouses. The
Yeah,
people get
that's a
it
good one.
sometimes, But yeah, that was
Yeah.
all I had on Joe.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna take a break here because I watched the American commercials, and for those that aren't familiar, in Canada we get different commercials, and our commercials are like, try the new Tim Biebs, which you're probably not aware of, but Justin
Oh,
Bieber teamed up with Tim Hortons
oh
to make
no.
custom mini donuts, and they're called Tim Biebs, and
What what
that commercial plays every commercial break.
what do these Tim Biebs entail? Like, how are they special?
Uh, I believe there are three special versions of Timbits. There's a white chocolate fudge donut. There's a jelly filling one, and then there's like a birthday cake sprinkle.
Okay.
Um, and so that's what they're. They're Tim Beeps, and apparently they're sold out places. Because I follow like three Bachelor people on Instagram, and one of them is
Mm-hmm.
McKenna,
Oh yes.
and she posts a story. She's like, I've been to three Tim Hortons and I can't find a single Tim Biebs. And she was pouting, and I was just like, damn, like that's kind of crazy. And they're also selling merch with this, so you can buy a Tim Biebs hat and like a Tim Biebs shirt. And there was
Genius.
a video that was going viral on Facebook where some guy in Alberta, and we're kind of Canada's Texas or whatever you want to
Oh
call it.
yes. Yep. You're
Texas is
above
probably the
Montana. I
closest.
remember.
So we have, trucks and oil and gas and those kinds of people, country music and whatever. And there's a video of that someone posted, and obviously to TikTok, and it's gone to Facebook and Twitter. I should have saved it so I could send it to you.
Yeah.
But a guy drives up to the thing, and he buys the Tim Biebs and a hat, and then he must be recording himself because then all of a sudden he drives up to the garbage can and chucks it all in the garbage, and it's like
Okay.
Dude, you just spent like $20 to make like a fuck Justin Bieber clip
I
for your
mean,
socials.
I feel like fuck Justin Bieber is like it's played out. Like it's played out from
Like 2010.
like 10 years
You
ago. You're
know?
like you were over your time. The guy's just successful. Get over it. Who cares?
And you spent $20 to own Justin Bieber? Really? You know?
He trust me.
It reminds me of
He's really worrying about this guy. You know.
he's probably that he probably saw that TikTok and he's crying to himself right now, wiping his tears with $100 American bills.
Enraged in his mansion in L.A. Yes. Yeah.
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 Or his vacation home in Bali or wherever, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that actually reminds me of something. This is where Adam brings up wrestling on today's episode.
Adam talks wrestling.
John Cena used to have the half the crowd loved him, half the crowd hated him. And at one point they played into that with his merch where you could buy a like Go Cena Go shirt and then also a John Cena Sucks shirt. But
sell it both ways, baby.
John Cena makes money on both of them, but then you'd have these idiot wrestling fans buying the Cena Sucks shirt to own John Cena by supporting John Cena and giving them, he gets his 5% merch cut or whatever.
Same thing with the Biebs.
Yeah, it just made me think of that. It's like...
Love it. Love it.
People. Anyway, American commercial. So there was really only two I want to talk about. So I was getting ABC Boston in the hotel room.
Oh, God bless.
And so I got some... Honestly, most of the commercials were fine. They were mostly, come on down to Dunkin' or come try this fast food item or holiday shop at Target, right?
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward stuff. Except there was one I thought was adorable, and that was the province of Nova Scotia and the city of Boston tourism did a commercial together to promote their hybrid tourism Christmas thing. And it's like, I think we're shutting the border down again here because of Omicron, and they're posting this thing where it's like, you're in Boston, how about Nova Scotia? And it's like, but you're in Nova Scotia, how about Boston? And I was like, this is like those weird regional commercials that I love to see.
Oh yeah, they're fun. They're fun.
Yeah. And then I was really hoping for like a really funny, like, come on down to Doug's Ford dealership, and it's like just this crazy Boston guy screaming about, come buy a Ford Escape or something.
Yep.
And then the second commercial I want to talk about, though, is this birth control commercial that was on about a birth control pill that's like somehow an IUD and also a birth control pill. And the only reason this is notable to me is because the commercial was like 45 seconds. They must have spent 30 seconds covering the side effects and doing all the disclaimer. It's like, I didn't even know this was a birth control if I didn't clue into the first 10 seconds. All I'm hearing is about all these horrible side effects that this pill is going to give you, while all these people are like riding horses and smiling together.
Well, when you take a pill, it goes through your whole system, then forms a hard shell in your vagina. It has a lot of side effects, dude.
Something, yeah, it's something weird. And it was just like I said, 30 seconds of disclaimers.
Welcome.
But ask your doctor. And I'm like,
no, thank you.
No, I won't.
The condom works just fine.
And I'm not a lady, but I'm pretty sure I can find other forms of birth control than that. So
absolutely.
But yeah, that brings us to Nate.
Yes. So Mr. Nate, as I talked about before, I made a note of the leg wrap jump, the only non-awkward leg wrap jump, because Nate is fucking gigantic. That tends to help. But yeah, he takes her paddleboarding, and of course we bring out the orange prison swim trunks again, which is it's nice to see. It clearly works on the man. He's got the skin tone to like this light, like beautiful skin tone to go with orange trunks. Why not? But the other note I had was I loved her two-tone swimsuit. It was like black and kind of a tan thing. Super cute.
Yeah, she looked great.
Yeah.
Yeah. There might have been a bit of white mixed in. I don't recall, but
maybe
she looked amazing.
Yeah.
And she's hot though. She's like in physical, like in incredible physical shape, and she's beautiful. It's like she could put on like an unflattering swimsuit, and I'd be like, damn, she's rocking that.
Yep. And what I love with this is one of my favorite things that they do during BIP. It shows Nate and her like going along in their paddle boards, like he's pushing her a little, being cute, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But literally, they stopped blurring out when a swimsuit starts to become a little too much of a thong, or there's a little bit too much of a boob involved. They start doing this weird like black like edging to match whatever the color of the swimsuit is, and it makes it look like
two things.
Yeah. And
they either do that black box that, you know, everyone's always seen censoring an image.
Well, and that's fair.
Or they pull out the like MS Paint and are like quickly smudging over the butt cheeks.
It's the worst. See ya, Phoenix. Thanks for hanging out. But yeah, no, it's literally like and I remember this from what's her name on BIP, the Queen Victoria or whatever her name was. They literally every little boob thing had to be like colored, MS painted. That's a good way to put it. I like that.
Yeah.
But they did that for the first time in a while, and I it was funny to see.
I didn't notice it.
Oh yeah, dang. It was only at the very beginning when they were getting on their paddle boards, and I'm like, they did it to her. They gave her the weird butt edit. Okay.
Oh, dang! That's why Canadian Bachelor in Paradise is better. They haven't blurred a single butt on that thing. And some of those girls are caked up, man. And it's great.
Woke. Gotta love it.
Maybe next episode I'll finish this season. I think it ends right away, and give a quick recap about, you know, the coolness of it. But yeah, that's something that kicks ass up here. We like butts in Canada.
As you should. So yeah, Nate basically takes her out. The whole idea is that like he goes to his local park in Austin, walks around, hangs out, goes paddle boarding, all that. Typical like kind of pseudo hipster town. Trust me, Seattle has plenty of paddle boarders themselves. But yeah, like nice little water date. They kissy a little bit, but they kind of end up sitting on like a little like picnic and having a discussion, right? And he says like, hey, you're gonna meet my mom and stepdad. They're coming together even though they actually got divorced, which I found really interesting. This is a mom and stepdad that are still no longer together, and they came to go support him. That's super cool.
Yeah, and we don't get to meet his actual I guess blood dad or
the good looking one.
But you know, I thought that was pretty interesting that, you know, so his mom, I guess, has been divorced again, and yet she has a good enough relationship with this guy despite that they're both willing to come to this because Nate's the important part of this. But you never noticed any animosity between them. Like if you hadn't brought it up or he hadn't mentioned it, I wouldn't have noticed.
No idea. Absolutely. Yeah. Like they were super cordial, and you know, you can tell they're very extremely pragmatic folk. That like, if this doesn't bother me, why get emotional about it? And I'm like, man, I'm not that way, but bless them, you know.
Yeah. One quick thing before we leave the date part is, at one point when Michelle and Nate are kissing, like they're filming them making out, you see a guy with a blurred face in the background staring at him as he paddles by. And I was like, oh, that's a meme format. I need to screen cap that. That's a meme format.
Yep.
It's like people enjoying their life, and then it's like me over here or something like that.
I like this. I see a tweet in our future. Yep. Yeah. I love it. So yeah, then it does move on to the mom and stepdad, right? Nate basically says, you know, they're. Oh, I'm sorry. We still got a little bit more of Nate and her, where he basically like, you know, says that they've never seen him head over heels. They've never seen him with anybody, right? And they both end up saying that they're falling for each other. And again, not falling in love, falling for each other. Super distinctive, especially when we're going to talk about the rest of Nate's date. But like clearly he's really into her, and she's ridiculously into him, right? But yeah, that kind of ends their little thing, and then we meet Nate's mom, Leanna, and his stepdad, Charles. And let's just say Nate's birth dad must be the giant, because the mom is not tall. Okay.
No, she was not tall. I was looking for that. I was like, is his mom gonna be like 6'2" or something like that? And it's
No.
like, nope, she's shorter than Michelle, I think,
Yep.
or at least close in height, but not particularly tall.
So maybe
So
still
Nate's
tall-ish, but Nate just dwarfs everybody. So
and Michelle is a bit tall herself, so maybe they're both around, like I said, 5'10" ish or something like that. Plus, it's tough
exactly.
to tell because Michelle, like, is she wearing heels right now? Is she not? But she's definitely taller. So
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
And it starts off. They meet. Everybody seems kind of cordially okay. Nate isn't the most eloquent when it comes to talking about Michelle. He's usually like, I'm kind of chilling with her. This is great. But it starts off with Michelle and Liana, Nate's mom, talking, right? And she says, like, what is it about Nate that caught your attention, right? Like, what is that? And she says, like, they connect on an intellectual, playful level as well as all the other levels. And that's what she isn't getting about all these other relationships that she has. Because I feel like she connects with Rodney on playful. She connects with Joe on kind of serious. She connects with Brandon on, super best friend level. But maybe Nate's the one that has all the levels, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and we've seen it too, and we'll see it more this episode, where she gets really, you can tell like she's a very empathetic person, and she just is able to listen to him talk and not say anything, not do anything, and somehow fully support him the entire time, right?
Yep, exactly.
And so and plus, like I said, like she kisses dudes two ways on this show. There's the horny, I'm really into you kissing, and the yeah, it's our first date, I guess I'll give you a kiss to say goodbye kind of kiss. So,
and I feel like even
she gives Nate the horny kisses. So.
She gives Nate the horniest kisses. Yes. And Nate and his mom sit down there a little thereafter, and this is where it gets a little more serious, honestly. Mom asks him, like, hey, Nate. And another thing that was a little fun point, they kept saying Nathaniel. They never said Nate. It was Nathaniel. So I get it, parents being what they are. But she asks him if he's ready to propose, right? And he says that's like the direction he's heading towards, but I don't think he's as sure as maybe some of the other guys, right?
Yeah, and hey, to the point about his parents being kind of more pragmatic, I think we mentioned that earlier, is just, again, and it's similar to Rodney's parents, where they're not trying to poo-poo Nate's chances, they're not trying to sabotage him or anything. They're just like, they want to make sure that he's making good decision for him. He's not wrapped up. His mom straight up calls out, like, okay, but what happens when you like leave this bubble?
Yeah.
Like, are you still gonna be, as head over heels when you have to have a relationship in like the real world, And they're just kind of trying to help him gather his emotions and gather his thoughts, because as Nate said, he's never really gone to his parents and opened up emotionally and told them how he's feeling about this, that, and other stuff. So,
right.
I think this is probably a bit new for them, and they're trying to help him. But I mean, at the same time, they don't rain on his parade. They're just trying to help him and look out for him.
They're trying to be like, hey, bro, like, where are you actually at in the real world? For sure.
Yeah.
And it sort of segues into Michelle and Charles, Nate's stepdad, right? Who had the silkiest shirt on planet Earth, by the way, when he was there. Like I just wanted to rub my hands on it. It was so silky.
Yeah. Also, I just noticed our picture that has the guy in the background I was talking about.
Does it?
Beside Michelle.
Yeah, my picture game. We're gonna call this the episode that we tried, but my picture game was not.
I was talking about.
Oh, I love it.
I just noticed that.
Okay, good. Right. I got the right one.
Give me that picture. I gotta make some memes.
Okay, beautiful.
But yeah, Charles is. I have just written down, damn Charles, that's a good father figure. Because the edit tries to make it seem like he's kind of a shithead.
Oh, geez, yeah.
In the preview. Preview. But then when we're watching the episode, I just have like, I have King written down, because he's tremendous. Like, he's a great dude.
And he says the nice things to Michelle, like, he's never seen Nate smile like that. He doesn't, but he also says, like, he doesn't know if he's ever been in love before, and he doesn't know the difference between love and like real commitment. Right. And that's actually like besides these horrible edits that they decided to give Nate's dad because they probably didn't have any other drama, super
he's
reasonable.
probably the coolest.
Yeah, like super reasonable.
Yeah, he's probably the coldest on the process out of all the parents.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, he's not trying to ruin anything. He's just trying to help, his stepson, someone he cares about, make a good decision for him.
Yep. Yeah. So like even Michelle and Charles's conversation, which some could be like, you can tell in Michelle's face, wasn't like her being like, the whole time. Oh my God, it's Nate. It was more like, now this is real shit, but you know what? That's kind of respectable in a way, right?
Yeah.
And that segues to the probably the most meaningful conversation of the entire episode. Nate and his dad, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's where I wrote down the king thing. It wasn't for this is where I really started to like, not that I didn't like Charles, but this is where I was like, okay, like holy shit, like this dude is.
Yep.
Because again, Charles is Nate's stepdad, and I don't have a lot of familiarity with step parents and that dynamic with their the children and stepchildren.
Yeah.
Because none of my friends had divorced parents growing up. The one that did, his dad never remarried, so there was never a new mom around, and he wasn't particularly close to his mom. So, never really got to see it through my own eyes there. But seeing what it can be like for, Nate and for Rodney is like, okay, so like a lot of stuff you hear, that's not what it's like. There are like really good, great step parents.
I think there's a balance, right? Like there's good parents, there's good step parents, there's bad parents, bad step parents, right?
For sure. It's just usually that the step parent is the evil one, right? Like think back to all your Disney stories and your children's movies. It was always the evil step parent and stuff like that. So
yeah, for sure.
I don't know. It was just great to see because they have just an unbelievable conversation. Like I don't have a lot of notes because I was just kind of blown away and I wasn't able to pause it. So
essentially, Nate and him start talking about Michelle and his relationship, and then it quickly transitions, and rightfully so. This is actually like, at first I was like, man, they're not talking about Michelle. She's gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be pissed. Bachelor Nation's gonna be pissed. But as soon as it was like Nate saying like, or no, I think it was his dad saying first, right? Like, never doubt that I love you. Never doubt that I'm proud of you, because I fucking am. He didn't say fucking, but it was basically that kind of tone. And it was like, it was real powerful to where Nate was like, man, I don't even know if my whole life I've ever told you I loved you, but I love you. Like it was like real fucking life. It was really powerful.
It was great. And just watching it, I was just like, wow, that's like a wonderful moment. And
well, and I wrote, so the crying in the edits was about him and his dad having a lovely conversation. Fuck you, Bachelor editors.
Yeah, they made it look like in the preview that, oh, his dad ruined everything and he's gonna go home because his dad fucked it up. And then it's like, nope, he's crying because him and his dad just had an amazing emotional breakthrough moment for the two of them.
Sons of bitches.
No, it was great. It was like I said, I just have like, damn Charles, that's a good father figure, and kings raise kings, because like, damn dude.
Absolutely. So then it kind of everybody says their goodbyes, which again, all very nice and cordial, nothing negative, nothing at all. Everybody was like super nice, and Nate and Michelle sit down and he's gushing about the night, not necessarily about her like with them, but he was like saying like, hey man, you being there made us get to this point. And like, which I thought was really nice, but it was also kind of like, this is more about him and his family than about her, honestly.
Sure, but at the same time, if it's like, I think he did kind of mention it, and Michelle, I think, is smart enough to appreciate that, that she was able, not that she takes 100% credit here or anything,
not at all,
but she was able to bring this out of them.
Yeah.
And this is a moment that even though it wasn't directly about her, or she wasn't directly involved in, she was a big catalyst for, and how important that was for Nate, that her being there led to this other amazing family moment for him. And awesome. So despite the fact that you know, both his parents do say he's not sure if he's ready for an engagement, but you know, they do like her, and then she gets that kind of, you know, emotional wave to kind of tidal wave basically to run over him. I think in her empathy, it all just kind of still was a big moment for them.
Puts him in a comfortable place for sure to go do something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Michelle basically says like, hey, you know, all of this is great, but she also is still scared that Nate may panic in the end, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, we get that same vibe from Nate, but what it reminded me of, and I don't know if you remember from Rachel Lindsay's season, Peter Krause was the guy's name. He was like ridiculously good-looking fellow that everybody in Bachelor Nation was obsessed with. But he was basically like, I like you a lot. We've gotten so fucking far through this Bachelorette process, but there ain't no way that I'm proposing to a girl after, you know, 2 months. Mm-hmm. And that was their big...
He could get over his pragmatism, yeah.
Well, and honestly, you know, if we're talking like a Colton before he came out kind of situation, where he was just so obsessed with someone, maybe she would have gone for something like that. But yeah, I get this Peter Krause vibe from, maybe a lighter Peter Krause vibe from Nate, where he's like, clearly this is the deepest he's ever gotten a relationship. This is amazing to him. But he still might not be ready to propose at the end of it, right? Mm-hmm. And whether she'll be okay with that or not, you know?
Yeah. No, it's something that's definitely going to be, because she hasn't minced any words. She's looking for her life partner, and
absolutely,
you know, she's not looking for someone who's going to be like, this is great, but let's just date. You know, she wants that person who, yeah. we all know the engagement's kind of fake, but I think to her, she wants the person that, even though it's kind of fake, thinks it's also at least 50% real, you know?
Yeah, gives the ring some reality.
Someone. Yeah. Yeah. She's not looking for someone who's, you know, wants to figure it out after. She wants that commitment. Let's figure it out and then go forward, and not kind of normal dating in the normal world style.
Totally. So that kind of ends Nate's date, right? Cuts to a little bit of time of Michelle contemplating on her own, and then her good friends show up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bree and Serena show up. Serena, good Canadian girl, comes out for
she's
her.
There.
Yeah, no, that's all I have written down is Bree and Serena, good Canadian girl, and they talk. They have the standard like girlfriend talk.
Yep, and it was very quick. Ooh. Like best 4 guys ever. Cool.
Yeah, best 4 guys ever. They're great. I do think my person's here. They're all so into me. There's no questions. Blah blah blah. It's like, okay, cool.
Done and done, man. Yep, yeah, for sure.
It wasn't like there's nothing like, remember Becca's season when all the girls showed up from Ari's season on Becca's season?
Mm-hmm.
And then they just like, it was like some of them were trying to flirt with the guys, and then you had Tia be like, yeah, Colton actually wants to be with me.
Oh god.
And all that shit. It was just like, no, just a couple girlfriends came by to, you know, girl power up their friend a little bit.
Super nice to see, for sure.
Yeah.
And then we're on to the rose ceremony.
You betcha.
Most
Rodney,
important
Brandon,
part.
Yeah, Nate and Joe.
Yep. And the best part of our podcast, it's a shame it's so deep into it, because the amount of people here probably an hour and 15 minutes in is relatively low. It's the dress time. And so let me pull up the picture, the best I could do cropped picture of her dress.
You bet.
So there's the little top part of it at very least. But this was a very unique dress for her, right? Like very slinky, had like kind of a weird little like Laura Croft vibe across the leg slit, which I know you're a leg man. What are your thoughts?
I have an 8. I did love the leg coming out, and I did think that I don't know, it was almost like it was like in between like lingerie and a formal dress, but not slutty.
Yep.
And so I liked it, but I did think that those little patches on the leg looked a little awkward, and I wasn't crazy about those. But I mean, she has the one leg like all the way out, so I'm, you know.
It's a solid 8 then. No, I put 8.5 because I think in the dark kind of like shadows, when you couldn't see how awkward those straps were, those the Laura Croft straps, I'll call them.
Yeah.
I thought they looked super cool in the darkness, and then when she came up to the rose ceremony, I was like, oh man, that's like some bad spandex or something. Shit.
Yeah, like, yeah, if those were, I don't know, instead of being like extra fabric that was sewn on, if they had been part of the original cut or even the same color,
Yeah.
maybe then it would have looked better. But they almost looked like they were like the dress ripped and they put these like fabric stitches to hold it together there.
Yeah.
It wasn't great, but
Yeah.
again, she's just has the one leg all the way out there, so I was like, well, I can't not like this that much.
I put 8.5 mostly because of the cool cutout in the top of the dress, the like kind of stomach
cool
cutout.
part.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like 85% of a great dress there. Yeah.
I agree, man. We need to go into the Project Runway business. There we go.
Let's avoid that.
Yeah, I know. So Michelle pops in here, says she's terrified of having her heart broken. Talking to the guys with when she's holding the roses, says like all 4 of them have made a lasting impact on her heart, right?
Yeah.
And then the roses come. Mr. Brandon gets the first rose, which I actually found a little bit surprising.
I didn't. Again, I picked him night 1 as
you're holding on to
him. And I'm not. I don't want to say I'm always surprised, but then I shouldn't be, because when you see them together, like they clearly
click.
There's clearly a lot there. But I guess again, I think it's the fact that he has like that little baby face makes you not take him as seriously.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, Brandon gets a rose.
Yep. And then
Nate gets a rose.
Yep.
Second rose.
Ahead of Joe. I was a little surprised about that.
Yeah, you would think they would have drawn it out, is Nate's family drama gonna, get him out, get him off the show or put him on the line? And nope, he gets the second rose.
Yep.
Which then comes down to Rodney and Joe.
Yeah.
And Joe gets the rose.
Motherfucker. I know. I wrote down the Michael Scott meme, the no. Rodney, you sweet prince, light of our world. No. I literally teared up a little bit.
I haven't been so attached to a contestant on this show ever.
Never.
And I was so sad. Like, if anybody follows the Twitter and was seeing, like, because I was tweeting out, it was just like 20 minutes of despair tweets. Just, and then today I'm still sad about it. I'm like, man, we don't have Rodney on TV anymore.
I'm thankful we only have to watch 2 episodes without him.
That's true. That is good.
Yes.
And I guess we'll get him on Paradise, probably.
I hope so.
The show will probably want him.
God, yeah.
But here's the thing, is like, Tayshia's Final 4 was pretty well liked. Brandon, Zach, or Brendan, or whatever.
Brendan,
Zach, Ivan, and Ben. But then 2 of them went on Paradise and kind of shot themselves in the foot.
Yep.
And I love Rodney too much that I'm like, if this is where I have to say goodbye to Rodney, I can almost bring myself to that and be happy.
Go out on top, baby. Go out on top.
Yeah, like retire with the championship, or close to it. And I don't know, man. I miss Rodney already.
It's very, very sad. Michelle, like, as soon as she gives out the Joe Rose, pulls Rodney out into the bench out there, right? And she's like, man, you're awesome. Don't ever think that it's not, like, don't ever think that you're not enough. But she says the other relationships were just moving quicker, right? And total class per Rodney. He's like, I get it. He's like, but I think he says something to the fact of like, I will care about you forever. Like, I will always make you laugh and smile. And I'm like, the other contestants that get kicked off like this don't say things like that. Like, his was like, that was everything short of what the producers would probably let him say, which is, if these other guys don't work out, please call me. You know what I mean? Like, that was the vibe he was giving, and it was really genuine.
Without like the pathetic, oh please, I like, I'll be your backup plan, but just kind of more in a I feel strongly, and
Yeah.
I'd be willing to try this should it ever come back around. And
Yeah.
God, I don't know. I don't have any notes here because I was watching live with no pause, and I was just sad. I was just so sad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, he handled the exit so well, and you could tell like she was, pretty. She didn't want to have to say goodbye to Rodney, but she did.
Absolutely not. Who does?
And
None of us do.
yeah,
Yeah. And
and
the amazing thing he says when he gets in the limo is he still cared about her even though they've broken up. He'll never forget those moments, and they'll always be in his mind and in his heart.
yeah.
Cherry on top there,
Oh my
buddy.
God.
Take.
Yeah, man, this roast ceremony was like what, like somebody ran over your dog. That was how I felt.
Oh yeah,
saying goodbye to Rodney, man.
we had a good 7
oh,
episodes of beauty and wonder, but
and she did mention that the other relationships were growing faster, but like on a curve. His might have been going kind of gradual, but like I'd say the last 3 weeks were like a pretty steep incline. And I almost
yeah,
wonder that if she even admitted she didn't take him super seriously off the hop,
of course
that
not.
maybe if she had taken him a bit more seriously, or if he had introduced himself maybe a bit better.
I don't know though, because I think the silliness.
Poorly,
I feel like the silliness at the
yeah,
beginning. If he hadn't had that, he wouldn't have had any shot.
that's true. I guess
Yep.
that makes sense. Okay, so again, I'm in the stages of grief here, and I'm like, or denial, or whatever
Denial.
it is, bargaining. I don't know, and I'm
If
coming
you
up with
if you just did the
excuses.
things earlier, he'd
Yeah,
still
I'm just
be
coming up with
here.
excuses. Or as we noted, like this season is like hauled ass from 8 to 4. Usually it's like 8-6-4. It's like, what if there was another week in here? What if there was one more week for Rodney? What if they didn't have to go from 8 to 4 in 1 week, and we got another episode? Like,
Yeah, I believe it. Well, so it goes. We'll
we're
hope
no
that
longer a Rodcast.
we are still a Rodcast at heart, but
We're at heart, but now we're just back to being a normal podcast.
all we'll say is if the rest of the season sucks, we'll know why.
Yep.
And speaking of the rest of the season, preview comes in. Nothing really too much to talk about with the preview, right? They do men tell all stuff, which I don't know. You and I can talk about this after. I don't know if the men tell all's worth an episode, honestly, but
No.
I don't think so. It's just a bunch of guys bitching at each other. That's fine. And then they do
Rodney on it.
They do have Rodney. This is true. Maybe we do a quick 5 minutes about Rodney, but that's neither here nor there.
We'll cover it in 10 minutes at the start of the show or something like that.
Yep.
If anything big happens on it, right?
Right. But yeah, we'll see. And then they did a quick little Bachelor preview of Clayton.
Ooh!
But what I will say is these ladies on his season look crazy as fuck, so maybe that's a redeeming quality.
My saving grace for a Clayton season is he's probably gonna suck and be boring, and it's not fair to say that, but they did put his promo on just as Rodney's limo drove off in the distance. Okay, like worst timing ever. So I'm heartbroken, I'm sad, and then they're like Clayton, and I'm like, oh, I don't like this.
No.
So, and then it looks where the season we've enjoyed like the maturity and how there's been Michelle handles herself and how these dudes are great, and it's like, all right, we got our catty bitches back. Ooh, it's sorority girl versus sorority girl, pageant queens going at it.
Let's get some cat fights,
no,
baby.
no.
Yeah.
So I guess the saving grace, and I don't think Colton has the emotion. I don't know if I want to say that. I don't think he has the maturity that to broadcast to like the other girls to be mature as well. I don't think he has that kind of presence around them.
No.
Because I think Michelle has kind of her presence, and the guys realize the kind of woman she is, and they've kind of adapted and brought out different.
Everybody calm the fuck down a little bit. Yep.
Yeah, I don't think Clayton has that kind of stuff because we never saw anything from him. And like his season's gonna live or die on the cast anyway, right?
Yep.
But it's just getting off on the wrong foot, following up Rodney's limo immediately, and then fucking looks like the same.
He's shirtless again. Oh god.
And the women look like they're all catfighting, like it's Peter's season all over again.
And trust me, that's what the show feeds on, is this sort of thing. But yeah, pretty sad. Let's move on from that to the last bit of joy we get, right? The fun time.
Rodney and Michelle.
Yes, tell us about it.
Oh, it's just adorable. They're like at a table in the apple orchard, like they're filming like a couple's cooking show, and they're filming their cheesy intro, and they just keep making mistakes. No, and it was just more Rodney being adorable.
I wrote down, give this man a fucking cooking show. Please. Like cooking with Rodney, even if he can't cook.
I just have it written down. So we've seen Rodney like run around naked, taste test food, apple orchard, at the farm, the Viking date, all this stuff. Watching fireworks and just looking genuinely like, wow, fireworks, right? I'm like, can I have a show that's just Rodney doing things? And then every episode is like, it could be a 5-minute show that they use to kill airtime or something. I don't care. Give me 5 minutes once a week. Today, Rodney's at the skate park and he's going to learn how to skateboard with Brandon. I'm like, great. I will watch this. I will tune in every single week.
I feel like it would be an epic, like Rodney could start an epic YouTube channel, call it just like Rodney Does Things. And it's like, he gives me this, I don't know if you've ever seen Marshawn Lynch do things like that are outside of his comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's the same type of vibe where you're just like, there's just so much pure joy at living that it's lovely to see.
I actually saw a Marshawn clip this week that I really liked. It was him after his high school team won the championship game.
Oh, yes.
And he goes like, he's like, I'm broke as fuck, but I'm taking everyone to Sizzler somehow. And it's like,
pure joy.
It's like, oh, Marshawn. And then you see the clips of him from his playing days where he's like, he's like, yeah, what are you doing for Christmas? He's like, oh, I'm going to the hood. I'm going to give everyone turkeys. And it's like, Marshawn, I like you.
Rodney and Marshawn. I want a Rodney and Marshawn TV show.
Oh, I'd love it.
$1 million idea. Okay.
My favorite football highlight of all time is probably the Beastquake.
Oh, yeah. Run. Yep. It's amazing.
Like, I will YouTube that just to watch it, because like that, it's like
the best.
25 tackles somehow, even though there's 11 guys on the field. It's like tackled 25 times and keeps going.
The best run outside of a Barry Sanders run that's ever existed. Yes.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, appreciate everybody hanging out. We will miss Rodney, our sweet Rodney, but thanks for everybody hanging out in chat. Thank you, Adam, for being a road warrior. I appreciate you, dude. You could have left me solo and it could have been a real awkward 30 minutes. So I appreciate you.
It's all good.
Yep. We'll be back next week. Well, I should say next week might be Men's Tell All. So we'll definitely put some updates on Twitter about the next podcast. But
for sure.
But yeah, stay tuned, everybody.
If it is the Men's Tell All, maybe we do just a super short episode.
Yeah, we could do a short little hello, and yeah, sounds good.
That way we don't bog down a normal episode, because if this... So we got... Today's the 1st of December, I guess that's... Then there's only 2 episodes left, right?
Yep.
So it depends how close they want to run this up to Christmas. So we'll find out.
For sure.
We'll find out.
But thanks everybody for hanging out. We'll catch you soon. Like I said,
follow us on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube, and we'll catch you.